Zion Williamson is officially back after missing about 2 months from a hamstring injury. He returns tonight in a loss, yes, against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but goes 9 of 15, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block, and 1 massive highlight reel 360 windmill dunk. A very Zion Williamson-esque play, a play that we need to watch in full screen to appreciate the greatness of. And I got to say, y'all, I'm being totally honest, this Zion Williamson, he looks like he's in shape. Great play right there, first of all, anticipation-wise. But a 360 windmill, that is Zion Williamson at his best right there. The type of stuff that you want to see from him as one of the most electric and talented players in all of basketball. And it's the type of play that reminds you of the player that he is capable of being when he is at his best. And he looked really good tonight. I know they lost, but an efficient 22 contributes in some other different ways, shows off that athletic ability that is so known for making Zion. Like, it's the type of stuff that you want to see if you are a Pelicans fan. But the question now becomes, with Zion healthy and with other guys having recently gotten healthy as well, players like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, a variety of all these guys. I mean, Brandon Ingram is not healthy yet, but will be back likely, I would think, sometime in the relatively near future, like maybe by the end of the month. All of a sudden, look, the Pelicans are bad. They're way out of the playoff race in the Western Conference, no doubt about it. But if I'm a Pelicans fan, all of a sudden I get a little concerned about the draft pick for this year, because you start to see the core getting back together and getting healthy, which is good for a team that has had the worst injury luck of any team in basketball this season. And getting the core back is good. But I worry that it might impact the draft pick. It's the same type of story that I talked about with the Toronto Raptors last week. But what's the plan now that you get a lot of these guys back healthy? And here's the honest truth, y'all. They would have traded Brandon Ingram a while ago if there was a Brandon Ingram market, but there's not. And then he hurts his ankle, and that takes away any market that there may have been. So yes, they're the worst team in the Western Conference right now. 100%. They're bad. No doubt about it. But look at the league-side standings. Only the bottom 4 picks get the highest percentage chance at the number 1 overall choice. Bottom 4 records, that is, anyway. And they're 3.5 games up on Houston, or I guess down on Houston in record, and 6.5 games down on a team like the Brooklyn Nets. The problem is the Nets have clearly made moves to get worse and are likely going to make more. Whether that means trading Cam Johnson almost certainly, and then potentially one or both of their bigs and guys like Nick Claxton, Day'Ron Sharpe. The Trailblazers, also another team that very likely will make moves to get worse at the deadline because of a lot of higher level veteran pieces that they have that could be useful assets for other teams and could bring back draft capital for the Blazers while making them worse. The Jazz are clearly bad and clearly have aspirations of being a bottom 4 team as well. The Raptors, look, they're another team that I think might be a little too good for this category, potentially if fully healthy, but the Hornets have, for the most part, looked atrocious. Yes, I know they just beat the Suns, but before that, they were 1-18 in their last 19 games. Like, you look at this company that the Pelicans are in, and I don't feel confident at all that if they're a mostly healthy roster, they're not going to win too many games in the second half of the season to push themselves out of that bottom 4 record and out of the highest percentage chance at a number 1 overall pick and at a overall top 4 or so pick. And you don't want to be the Pelicans and have a successful second half of the season and wind up with the 7th pick, 8th pick. You know what I mean? In a generational draft, you want to have one of these highest picks so that you can draft a guy who has the potential to be a franchise altering player and the type of centerpiece to pair next to Zion. Like, yes, I get that there have been rumors and a lot of talk, even on my channel, about potentially trading Zion and Zion trade value and shopping everybody on this roster pretty much. But it looks as though they're probably going to hold on to Zion, and they're probably going to hold on to other young pieces like Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Yves Missy, guys like that look to be a part of their future core. And therefore, my question becomes, CJ McCollum has no trade value. You're probably not trading him. And he said recently anyway, in an interview, that he likes being in New Orleans. It just sounded like he didn't want to be traded, and he's making enough money where I don't think it matters. Anyways, his contract's bad enough. They're not trading him. DeJounte Murray, I don't think the trade value is there, in all honesty, for DeJounte Murray. And I feel like they overpaid for him in the first place. They're not getting close for what they traded for DeJounte Murray if they trade him away. So they're not just going to admit defeat in a DeJounte Murray trade and get rid of him for pennies on the dollar when they traded assets and Dyson Daniels for him prior to this season. Realistically, the only player on this roster that I feel like confident in getting traded or shipped away in some form or fashion is Brandon Ingram, and he's injured. So I quickly look at this team and I'm like, I feel like fully healthy, which they are quickly becoming, all of a sudden they're too good to truly tank efficiently in the second half of the season. And so, yes, there could be phantom injuries and things of that nature and hold guys out, but they do want continued development from Zion and Trey Murphy and Missy and Herb Jones, et cetera, et cetera. And this core as a general, you want them to develop together so that you can compete for a playoff spot next year, if that is the goal in New Orleans. And therefore, my question becomes, do you just accept that, okay, we're not going to have the draft pick that we were hoping for, that it looked like we're going to have for the first half of the season? We're probably going to be too competitive, and that's okay. Is that the path? Because if that's the path, that's okay. But look, I like the roster. I like it a lot. Trey Murphy's the type of guy who makes every single team in the NBA better. He's scoring 20 a game on 36% from three, on 8.6 attempts a game. He's a good defender. He's super versatile off the dribble. He's a really skilled, really athletic, really talented player. DeJounte Murray has been atrocious shooting the three ball, but again, trade value is way worse than it was when they traded for him. They're not getting rid of him, and I don't expect him to be a 25% three-point shooter. That just doesn't make sense. McCollum was awful tonight, 1 of 14, but he has been almost 23 a game on 38% from the field this year, or from the three, I should say. Pretty solid offensive numbers all the way around, efficiency-wise, for CJ McCollum, despite the fact that he was bad tonight, and despite the fact that he doesn't really play much defense, and his contract isn't very good. He is a good offensive piece for this team. Herb Jones, one of the best defensive players in the sport. Yes, his three-point efficiency has been down this year. You'd like to see that be better. And then Zion, I mean, Zion is realistically, let's be honest here, Zion's going to come back and he's going to be a 24, 25 point per game guy. Going to average like 8 rebounds a game, and he's going to be dunking the ball like crazy, and he's going to make this team better. There's just no arguing it. You know what I'm saying? He was 8 rebounds, or so he was only 6 rebounds, 5 assists a game last year, but he's 8 rebounds, 5.5 assists so far this season. He's going to be a 6 to 8 rebound player, 5 assists a game, probably turn the ball over a little bit more than you'd like, but as a whole, he's going to provide a lot of skill set versatility and value for this Pelicans team that clearly is going to raise their floor. And look, I'm happy to see Zion back. I think it's great for the NBA to have a young star like Zion, who was so hyped and has proven already to be so good, back for the league, even if it is on a very bad Pelicans team. 3rd worst in defensive rating in the league. 3rd worst in offensive rating in the league. I mean, they are literally very much right at the bottom. 2nd worst net rating in all of basketball so far this season. The one thing they do have going for them, I will say though, in terms of tanking, is they have the 6th hardest schedule left in the NBA. When you compare that to the other teams that are likely going to be trying to take, Portland at 12, honestly, like Brooklyn at 22, which, I mean, they're 6.5 games worse right now record-wise than Brooklyn. Toronto at 26. Washington has the easiest schedule left in the entire NBA. Like, they do have at least that going for them in terms of strength of schedule. I think that will help them, as much as tanking is in some people's minds not a good thing. It'll help them lose more games. I think that's a positive. The perfect world is that the Pelicans start to show some feisty competitiveness and yet still manage to maintain a bottom 4 record. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it's certainly going to be an interesting story to follow as the second half of the season progresses. To me, they're the most interesting of the capture the flag teams, just because of the amount of talent on their roster and obviously a superstar caliber player like Zion Williamson. And it's going to be really fascinating to see what happens now over these next couple months now that Zion is back. So just wanted to make a quick video on the Pelicans. Haven't talked about them in a while with Zion being out, and I thought this was a great time to do it since he just came back. I hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.